Good morning, YouTube. How are you? Today is July 5th, 2023. So this topic that I'm talking about is long overdue. I was skeptical about talking about it because I'm like, do I really want to put my business out there? But I'm like, fuck it. It's spreading awareness, right? That's what I do. That's what I'm doing. And as y'all know, Shay from Love and Hip Hop, she also was on Flavor of Love. She's a spokesperson for fibroids, and so is Larissa from Love and Hip Hop. And I have a fibroid. I found out I had a fibroid 2 years ago. My cousin was like, you should get tested, you should get tested. Other doctors, they denied me. I think I spoke about it on my previous video, but I just wanted to talk about two things today: regentrification and fibroids. Today I just had a consultation video call, and basically I was letting the doctor know, no, I don't need birth control, because sometimes they give you birth control to regulate it. I said no. When I had bad cramps, I told y'all yesterday, I had fried chicken. I know I can't eat that during that time of the month because the grease exacerbates. But I thought it was fine because from this particular place, they literally drain out the grease. Like when you eat the chicken and you see it, you can't even see the grease. They drain it really good. So I thought I was safe. Boy, I was wrong. But yes, my body is very sensitive to grease, alcohol, and coffee. I stopped drinking coffee once I found out that it is a stimulant drug. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. Coffee is a stimulant drug, y'all. And I did not know that until my student that I had in the fall semester, he had a class called Medical Issues. I wish I would have had that in high school. But they talked about plastic surgery, and they talked about all type of things. It's very interesting. I learned more than he did. And I was like, what? They like, yes, coffee is a stimulant drug. So I stopped drinking it. I was tempted the other day. I was in a store and I saw the little Starbucks thing. I'm like, nope, the devil is a liar. I don't think I would ever drink coffee again after hearing that information. But yes, so I can't stress enough to my ladies out there, if you're having abnormal cramping, if you're bleeding heavy or anything of that nature, see a doctor and demand that they do an ultrasound and an MRI, and it will tell them if you have a fibroid or not. I was dismissed in Brownsville. Brownsville is horrible. You got people who live in Canarsie and they go to the doctor in Brownsville. I don't know why, but it's horrible, you know. And I have to go to downtown Brooklyn to get better medical attention, and it's all good, you know. It happens. But yes, get that check, get that pap smear, and if you don't care about your health, nobody else will. That's all I wanted to say. The fibroid that they found was the size of a walnut. Fibroids, they come and they go. With this recent period of mine, I could tell it's still there. So yeah, it's still there. But the doctor said I'll get a referral in the mail and then we'll go from there. So yes, today I wanted to talk about regentrification, and y'all need to stop whining and crying, because at the end of the day, it is something that could have been prevented. And I was going to talk about my mother's family a little bit. You can't cry and whine about regentrification. And what brought this on is like, why are you talking about this so early in the morning? Is because I went on Instagram. That's like my new addiction. I'm always on Instagram now. And a lady was talking about Jamaica Avenue being regentrified and all these areas. But the problem that I'm having is Nobody wants to go into partnership and own the stores that where we live at. Nobody wants to go and own a property with a family member and go into home ownership, but then you want to complain that the rent is going up. Make it make sense, right? So for me, I don't make enough to own a home. I actually was going through a program through NYCHA several years ago, and they turned me down and said my income was too low. I actually was trying to buy a home. I'm a single woman. I have one child, and that is my goal, to own a home. So everybody can't own a home because they can't afford it. I'm one of those people. But for the most part, I wouldn't even say maybe half of the part, you have people who make money and they don't want to own anything. And then when you have regentrification happen, they want to say, oh, they're taking over. It's like they already owned it anyway. They're just coming to live, if that makes sense. So my mother's side of the family, my grandmother used to always complain and say, well, why do y'all live there? And da-da-da. She used to always talk about our living conditions. She was so obsessed. I had to switch the subject and say, well, I'm doing good in school and this is going on and I'm in poetry club, and how was your day? You know, but she was so fit. But I feel like if she actually was a caring grandmother, she would have put my name on the deed of the house, right? That's what a smart person would do, right? Put my name on the thing, because I was her only granddaughter. My grandmother had 2 kids, my uncle and my mom, and my mom had me, and my uncle had one boy biologically, and the other one is his stepson, but he basically adopted him into the family, and he has his last name, right? So basically it's like her sister, well, my grandmother passed away in 2006. So the last person standing, or the last person in that house, was my Aunt Jerry, who died in 2021. So a smart person would have put somebody's name on it, whatever. So she put my other cousins that don't want the property on there, right? So I was telling my uncle had his lawyer call me in the whole 9 yards. I said, well, why can't I get the house? I'm the only granddaughter, and my mother did some things that's not so nice, and I feel like my mom, she doesn't want the house, my father don't want the house. Why I can't get the house, right? Why don't y'all put y'all money together, repair the house, make me the landlord, and get some tenants up in there? That's what smart people would do, right? They're not doing that. They're literally fighting over the property, and that's what black people do. They fight over property, right? The property ends up going back to the bank, and then you want to whine and complain. That is regentrification. If you don't set up generational wealth, this is the result of not setting yourself up. So when you have places like Jamaica Avenue, and they have stores like Denise and all of that or whatever, and then you want to whine and complain that an H&M is coming in, just know that that building, Denise, whatever, a black person do not own it. So therefore that white person, that Asian person, whoever, they have a right to come in. It's just like Monopoly. I was just thinking that to myself a few minutes ago. When you're playing Monopoly and you have 2 or 3 people you playing with, 6 people, how many other people, do you stop and say, oh, there go Park Place, I have $500, but let me wait on that other person to bank on it? No, you go and bank on it and you go and buy the property. Are you not? Why would you? If you're trying to win, right? Just life is Monopoly. You got to think of real estate, and this regentrification thing is like Monopoly. It has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with business. And me and my coworkers, we talked about it a few months ago, and I should have recorded the conversation because it was it was on point. Like, that's one thing that I'll miss about the school that I worked at, is the conversations in the break room was everything. It was like really smart people, and it made you think. When we got finished talking to each other, it was like we learned from each other, and those are the conversations that I benefit from. But it was an Asian teacher, and you know, of course, the Jamaican lady was going in like, yeah, no offense, but y'all Asians is coming in and y'all taking over. He's like, it's not racism, it's business. He said, if there's a property that's available and nobody's banking on it, nobody's bidding on it, nobody's saying that they want it, why would I not take it over and turn it into a cleaners? Why would I not take it over and rent out the space and turn it into a nail salon? Why would I not do that? I'm gonna just wait for you to get it and you don't even want it? Make it make sense. And then it's the same thing my father said. My father always said that it's not about racism, it's about business. And if more black people understood that, we'd be all right. It's not about racism. It's whoever bids, whoever's the highest bidder. When you have a situation, now I'm gonna tell y'all, Ozone Park, 101 Street, whatever, it used to be all white. Now it's, for the past 20 years, all Indian. It would be a shame if that house goes back to the bank. It would be a shame, because that house has been in my family since the 40s, right? But nobody wants to put money together. Nobody's thinking about me or my son or his future generation. Nobody's thinking long term. People are just for the now and want to fight over something. And that's in a lot of black families. You have black families where, yeah, people own a house, but their kids don't want it. Their kids' kids don't want it. And what happens? The property goes back to the bank. So when the properties go back to the bank, and then that's another thing. A lot of churches, black churches, shut down during COVID. There were no white churches that shut down in COVID. A lot of black churches shut down in COVID. You know why? Because they didn't have brains enough to own the space. They just keep renting the space. You got a lot of black businesses out here, but their goal, for whatever reason, they don't want to own the space where they're renting at. They just keep renting. Now, things happen in life and you don't have the money to own, but I can't stress that enough. If you have the money to own, at the sound of my voice, do it. Do it. You've been at a spot for 20 years, it should be yours. There's no reason that somebody should be able to put you out and now you asked out. And now you want to blame the white man because, oh, they regentrification. You don't hear no other race of people. You don't hear the Asians whining and crying about regentrification. You don't hear Indians saying that. You don't hear no other race of people doing that beside black Americans. So that says a lot about us, not about them. And oh no, that says a lot about us, how we don't come together and want to own the buildings that we rent. There's no reason that a Arab person or Dominican should be in the corner stores. We are in there more than any race. The corner stores is like, that's our thing. That's a part of our culture. But you don't have black people who own it. Nobody want to own it. Then y'all want to laugh at Mexicans. Guess what? But it'll be 6 or 8 of them in a house that they own. Right? They don't care if they laugh at you. Y'all can laugh all y'all want to. They'll be driving a cab. They'll be owning a car wash. I think I talked about that in a previous video. Like when I was little, I was talking to my friend about it. I was like, yo, when I was little, I remember people used to laugh at Mexicans because they was at the car wash. 20 years later, they still there because they own it. They don't just work there. They own it. Who's at the car wash the most? White people in the suburbs wash their own car. You got white people who go to car washes, but it's really black people. And who owns the car wash? The Mexicans. Now that should be like a simple franchise, right? But we don't own it. Dunkin' Donuts. Who's in Dunkin' Donuts the most? Black people. White people, they think of Starbucks. You got black people who go to Starbucks, but let's be honest, Starbucks is a white thing. Dunkin' Donuts is for us. Dunkin' Donuts is the Starbucks of the hood, right? But who's up in that mug? Black people. And who owns it? Indians. You'll never see no Indian eating no donut. They don't eat that, but they own it, right? the fried chicken spot. And how do you know if somebody own it? It's because when business is slow, they recycle their own people, right? When a pandemic happened, they still there. The smartest thing that the Indian people did was to take over the fried chicken franchise. That's probably why they number one. It was a teacher I was working with, and she's Indian. She said my people are number one. I said, show me your receipts, because I thought it was Asians. She showed me right on the internet that Indian people are number one with their money, with making money. They surpass Europeans. They surpass the Asians because they stick together. It's really that simple. And until black people understand that, we'll always be at the bottom. And on the Instagram post, the lady arguing with me, I said, and you're a perfect, she's like, oh, your point is invalid and da 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 da. No, it's not that my point is invalid, it's you don't agree with it. You're a perfect example of you want to sit there, whine and cry about something instead of black people don't want to do anything about it. And the honesty is black people don't trust each other. Black people are the first and the only ones that will say, I don't support black business. But then when a white person takes over the building because they own it in the first place, you want to cry and whine, but you didn't want to support that black business though. But now you want to get mad that the white property owner is taking over. Make it make sense. And those are my thoughts.